Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mondays with Mad. I'm Mad Hildebrandt, and today is Monday, March 19th, and our topic for today is the economy. So first, I want to lay out kind of a basic outline of the current condition of New Mexico. So let's think about the state budget, because that's where we see the programs that get paid. We see schools, public employees, law enforcement, and then programs and projects. So here's the basic breakdown. 35% of our state budget comes from oil and gas, and 16% comes from the permanent fund. And that money pretty much all goes to pay for education. Then 49% comes from taxes, and that is property taxes, gross receipts, income tax, and this comes from all of us, you and me, and from small businesses and from corporations. So in the last 10 years, we have lost over 146,000 jobs from the state of New Mexico. And 57,000 people have moved away from our state chasing those jobs, chasing better jobs. So a lot of these are our own children. They're young men and women who graduated from our colleges, from our excellent colleges and universities, and they failed to find a job or a well-paying job, and then they moved out of state, and this is a brain drain. And a lot of our children are affected, and this is me too. My family's been affected. So my daughter and her husband moved away from the state. He's a software engineer, and he couldn't get a job here in the state that was paid him well enough. And this is important for us to be able to keep our children home. So what this leads to for us here in New Mexico is a loss in tax revenue. So we're caught in this downward spiral, and we need to halt that downward movement. And so the best way to halt this movement, this downward spiral, is through job creation. And the best thing we can do in order to create jobs is to invest in our children. So we educate them, and we train them for their future. And then we need to keep them here, and we need to keep them here and stop that brain drain. So think about our colleges. Right here in Socorro, we have one of the premier technological colleges in the country. And across the state, our colleges and universities excel in teaching STEM to our children. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. So the jobs that we need to focus on, because of the education that we're giving our students, the jobs that we need to invest in begins with, of course, education, but technology, renewables, cybersecurity, aerospace, and union jobs. So what we need to think about is tech transfer. And that is getting the technologies that our students and the staff and the instructors, the professors are discovering and creating in our colleges. We need to keep those technologies when they're transferred out of the college and into the public, into businesses. We need to keep that here in New Mexico. And to do that, we need to invest in new startups. So we can do this here in New Mexico by taking advantage of a program that's called the Small Business Investment Program, which is a federal program. And so like Nike and Microsoft, they both used loans from this program in order to become the huge corporations that they are today. So we can also direct infrastructure development funds and monies into New Mexico, and we can focus on vocational education and trade union training programs, which are excellent, and these will help to strengthen our union membership, which then strengthens our wages and benefits. So keeping our children here and growing businesses here in New Mexico grows jobs here, and as these grow, wages are going to naturally rise. And I'll tell you why. An entry level, think of this, we're creating a new business here in New Mexico based on engineering. An entry-level position in engineering is $80,000 a year. You're going to need service workers for service jobs in order to support these new businesses. That is $40,000 for these new jobs for each. And then you have to have people building these businesses and working on the infrastructure that we need in order to prepare and to work on these buildings. These are trade skills, union jobs. And again, we're talking about $60,000 to $80,000 per union job. And so what we would see then is that this is going to raise the tax revenue that we were just talking about a few minutes ago. So you can see then that wages and infrastructure and education are all combined. And this is a holistic approach that we need to take when we're talking about and thinking about job creation and our economy in the state of New Mexico. And I want to take, I've got a couple of questions that I want to answer that I thought were important to answer today. And the first one of these is from John, and John is in Silver City. And he asks, do you support a $15 minimum wage? So my answer to that is yes, I do. The fiscally responsible way to do this is incrementally. So what we would do is start at $10. Then every 6 months, we would raise that by 50 cents so that by the end of 5 years, we would hit the $15. And this takes some of the pressure off of our small businesses, because we will see the larger box stores and Walmart, the larger employers, as they're implementing it, then all of those, the large amount of people that are working in those jobs are going to be spending their money in their local communities. And so that is going to strengthen the local economy, and then that is going to allow the small businesses to start making some money so that they will be more able to adapt easily. The second question I want to answer today is from Gloria, and she is in Truth or Consequences. And Gloria asks, do you support equal pay for equal work? And for women, that would be for women. And again, I say yes. And let me give you a statistic. 40% of all working women are the only wage earner in their family. 40%. That means that whether they're taking care of someone else or if they're single mothers. So what we need to do in this is we need transparency in order for this to work. So what I see is a need for open and fair scheduling. We need a wage structure that is open and available for people to view so that we can make sure that the laws are being followed. And we need access to quality health care and child care and paid leave for all working families. And so in effect, then, what this is going to do is not just affect women and in making this equal pay for equal work. It's going to work across the board. It's for racism and ethnicity and for any type of prejudice that would be seen in the workplace. And I would send you to look for more about gender equality. You can go to the AFL-CIO website and plug in gender equality and do a search. So you can see that all of the things that we talked about today, and including education from last time, you can see that all these things work together. Investing in jobs and business development, in education, in infrastructure, and in our unions are all going to create a stronger base upon which our state's revenues and then the budget is dependent. So if we can stop the brain drain that's happening here in New Mexico and stop that downward cycle of job loss and people leaving the state to chase those jobs, then we can begin to rebuild our economic strength and create a stronger New Mexico. So that's all we're going to talk about today. We're pretty much out of time. So thanks for joining me, everyone, and I'll see you next week when we talk about crime and law enforcement. And please keep those questions coming. The email address is mondays@mad4nm.com. That's Mondays at mad4nm.com, and someone will be going through those. We'll be going through those and find so that we can answer the questions that are most people in New Mexico are most interested in. Again, thank you, and I'll see you next week.